Hey, what's up, guys? Christian Brindle here, and I am back with another guest today who's doing big time things in the insurance space. I'm joined by the one and only Clay Peak of Peak Performance. First off, Clay, how are you doing today?
It's awesome in Greenville, South Carolina, about 70 degrees and sunny, and it's a great day.
I love it. I love it.
With you.
I'm jealous, I must say, because it's cloudy and cold here in Utah where I am. So I wish I could just snap my fingers and be there with you in person
Come
for
on
this, but
down. Love to have you.
we'll have to settle with what we got for today, right?
Okay.
So, Clay, for anybody that doesn't know, his organization, Peak Performance, is a real staple in the ACA and under 65 health insurance world. And Clay is a real master at the craft of it and building an ACA book. He works with a huge multitude of agents, thousands of agents, really, right? And so, this we've had a couple of conversations over the years, and every time we have, I've walked away being like, damn, that guy knows his stuff. I walk away like with a nugget or some kind of piece of information that I didn't know before. So I always love being able to interact and speak and talk with people like you that just have this wealth of knowledge and all the experience you've had. But for anybody that doesn't know Clay Peak, can you start off by taking us through a little bit of your introduction to the industry? How did you get into insurance? How did it all start for you?
Well, thanks, Christian, and it's an honor to be on your platform. You've done an amazing job building this platform and your agency. And by
Thank
the
you.
way, I look forward to joining you at your event in Savannah, Georgia this summer. It's going to be a lot of fun, the $1 Million Agent event. So we're excited about that. Agents should attend that, register and attend that as well.
Thank you.
Oh, well, I've been in full-time ministry for about 14 years. And when I finished serving my last church in South Philadelphia in 1995, I moved my wife and 6 kids to
Wow.
Greenville, South Carolina. Debbie and I have been married for about 43 years this coming May, 6 kids, 17 grandkids, and began serving at a church in an interim role and started working with my dad, who's a banker. But met a guy at church. When women meet, they often say, "Tell me about your families," and guys say, "What do you do?" So I met a guy at church. Said, "What do you do?" And he says, "Well, I get a lead, to go make a call, sell a health policy, make $1,000." And I'm thinking, I got 6 kids. I got to do that repeatedly every day. So I got my license and started selling, and it went well. And I was selling from 1996. I started selling. Back in the day when you would get some leads and you drive 800 to 1,000 miles a week and talk to people and have to fill out 6 or 7 or 8 page of underwriting questions and extract a check and then pray they got issued and approved. And so I sold about 1,000 lives a year for about 10 years straight while I built my agency. Didn't even have an office till 2001, mainly worked out of my house, and started growing and then spread into Medicare and long-term care and those things. And we were there in the first days of Medicare Advantage in 2005. I recruited agents, started selling Medicare Advantage, wrote thousands and thousands of policies, found almost every pirate in the Caribbean along the way. The FMO world, the field marketing organization world, can be treacherous, but there's also some phenomenal people in it as well.
Yeah.
But I found some interesting characters along the way. But it helped, God used all those challenges when people would steal your up down line and all that to grow the business and to advance more. So no entrepreneurial effort is without its challenges, sometimes pretty serious challenges. And so we learned a lot from that. But because I've always been a health dog, an old health guy, when the Affordable Care Act came out, it wasn't my favorite cup of tea politically and actuarially, but I realized it's probably going to stick. And I'm either going to be in the health market or out of the health market. I chose to be in the health market. And we were there the first 2 years when healthcare.gov really didn't work. And if it did, you still didn't get paid sometimes. And then carriers started leaving a couple of years later. And that was a lot of fun. And we grew a few gray hairs. But through it all, we've been very blessed. Peak Performance works with about 655 agencies across the country and over 10,000 agents. And we work really hard to be a field marketing organization, an FMO, not an FCO. Do you know what an FCO is, Christian?
No, I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
Well, it's not really a term. Clay made it up. It's called a field contracting organization. They're glad to take your contract, but they do nothing like you do. You help people market, Christian, and I try to do that as well. So we work really hard to be a field marketing organization. So to that end, I've been doing 50 to 100 live training webinars every year. And this year, probably 50 live face-to-face events, and it's always 25 to 50 face-to-face trainings every year. I'll talk more about that later. But so that's where we are. We want to really help agents understand the market, write great business that persists, and help them get going, because it's a wonderful market to be in. And our pitch, basically, Christian, is to people who are not in this space. If you're already great at Medicare or life insurance or annuities or worksite, our pitch isn't stop doing that. No, we want to help you do that better. Even if you do it with Christian or some other agency, we're not saying you should stop doing that. You're already good at that, but you're stepping on dollars.
Right.
And it's a very easy to market, to sell to, and to grow into. And for some people, temperamentally, it's the place where they should be. So that's how we kind of begin that thought. Don't stop doing what you're doing, but let us show you how to stop stepping on dollar bills and make some money and help some people.
I love it. I love it. And I think it's so necessary, right? Like, and it's amazing to me because I can think about it from my own perspective, right? I fought us doing ACA as an agency for years, because we were Medicare only. I think for like 5-6 years of my career, I was like, I won't do it. I don't want to do it. And, it became apparent to me very quickly, that we were stepping on dollars, exactly like you said. It was just such wasted opportunity. And we started doing it probably 2019, but Medicare is still our primary focus, right? I wouldn't put us in the class of yourself, but like, it's so crazy to me that even in 2024, it is still such an underserviced market, right? Like health insurance seems to me like, and they say the Medicare market is underserviced. And I still think it is when you look at how many agents versus beneficiaries, but I think health insurance is like 10x that. Would you agree?
Yeah. And so our outreach is to Medicare Life, final expense, worksite, PNC agents. Man, they're going through some tough times in some places. We're going to travel down to one of my kids and his wife and 3 kids in the Charleston area tonight. His PNC, his home property rates have tripled in the last few years.
Wow.
In some states, the carriers are pulling out. So we're even finding that PNC agencies are saying, hey, we need to add that. We have clients, but we need to create another source of revenue because it's a little wobbly on the PNC side. So we look to help build that value. And what we'll find is that some people, they're just temperamentally well suited for this space. So Clay, I love seniors. Clay is a senior, so I'll qualify for Medicare this July. Maybe you know a good agent who could help me.
I know one or two.
I know one or two. But I realize that I'm wound too tight. I want to go in and say, well, you have a Medicare sub plan A, it's $150, and this plan G is $120. Let's do this. And Mabel's still thinking, does she trust me or not? Because I'm talking so fast. And I don't mean to be pushy, because I really do care that she's got a policy that's inferior and paying more. I'm better suited for the small business market, the individual market, temperamentally. My partner back in the day, he's passed away now, he'd walk in the same house. He'd look at all the pictures and drink the lemonade, and he has a bladder of steel. He could sit there for 2 hours. He'd walk away with 5 applications, the same person. And I'm just as trustworthy and ethical as Kevin was, God bless him, but he was more temperamentally suited to serve that market. And that's one thing agents have to realize. Some of your people are just dynamite in the Medicare market, the final expense, and they'll add this easily and write 25, 50, 100 lives. Some folks are not great at that market since it just doesn't suit them. And they're not bad people. They're not bad agents. It isn't the right market. And they'll start doing it. They'll dip their toe in the pool, and they'll dive in after a while and realize it's a great place for them to be. And so we're looking for those kinds of agents.
Yeah, I think it makes all the sense in the world. So one thing I wanted to ask you that I thought would be super interesting, right, for anybody that watches this, just to hear from somebody that has mentored, trained so many agents to, build great books of business in the ACA space, and also done it in your own right as well. What do you feel like in 2024 is the key for an agent to break into the ACA market and thrive in it? What do you feel like is the key for that?
Okay, wind him up and watch him go. Okay. Vanna White, spin the wheel. Okay, thank you. A couple of things. Let's answer 2 questions. One is why ACA? And the second is why ACA with you guys. So let's talk about the why ACA first for those who are just considering it. And then for those who are in, if you'll be patient for a few minutes, I'll blow your head off. I'll show you some stuff you've never seen. YACA, it's an 18-second quote and an 8-minute enrollment. It's the deepest, richest, most comprehensive insurance ever sold in the history of the world. Amen, period, end of sentence. True. It's guaranteed issue. No pre-existing limitation. No dollar limits on what they'll pay if it's medically necessary. Case in point, I live in South Carolina. Blue Cross of South Carolina shipped a guy across state lines to Augusta, Georgia, where there's a wonderful burns unit, University Hospital, spent $11 million on a guy out of network who passed away because they're going to provide, the carriers are obligated to provide the best care necessary that's medically necessary. So it's deep, rich, comprehensive, guaranteed issue. Half of our clients pay zero. 80% of the people who go to healthcare.gov looking for a rate find a plan for $10 or less. So this is easy to sell. We like to tell agents your selling skills will probably erode because it's too easy. You'll have to keep selling Medicare and life or you'll become an awful agent because you'll forget how to sell. And that's only partly sarcastic. It's largely true. You really,
right.
So it's a great place to be. But now I'll flip the dark side. Do you know what Facebook is, Christian?
I've heard of it.
Facebook is TikTok for old people, okay, like me. So I was on Facebook, as I often am as an old guy, a few months ago, and I saw a picture, and it's a picture of the streets of New York City in 1894. Okay, and it had some carriages and some buildings and a sidewalk, and it showed the street. It was really focused on the street. And you look at the street and you go, well, what is that? Is that mud? It's not mud, Christian. It's tens of thousands of horses dropping 15 to 30 pounds of horse excrement on the street every day. They would pay a guy a penny to take a shovel and across the street from side to side so you wouldn't get your dress or your shoes messed up as you cross the street. That's a beautiful, sad picture of the ACA market for many agents. It's sewer. It's rat infested.
Yeah.
And agents who really want to go after the low dollar, high lead, high social media generated free insurance sale are going to be faced with lots of trials and tribulations. They're going to have an awful persistency rate. And yes, we want to and should help every person, in spite of their income and need. We want to help every person of every class and ethnic group all the time. But if that's the only thing you're pursuing and you want to write 20 people without talking to them a day, you can probably do that somewhere, but you may not have 3 of them at the end of the month because swap AORs back and forth all day. And because there are people better than Clay and Christian at business automation. And when they click on that, get a free $500 gift card or get a $6,400 credit, tax credit, in 3 seconds when they've clicked, they've changed agents, changed plans, and changed effective dates and don't even realize it. And there is a consent built in there. They've got everything so it's legal, except the ad was deceptive. And so if that's the space you're in, you're very discouraged. Here's a story. I have an agency, a competent, brilliant group of men who had on November 1st, 20,000 cases with a particular carrier.
Wow.
They wrote 25,000 more. There's an agency, call center driven, during the OEP. Effective January 1st, they started with 20. They wrote 25,000 more. The number of enrollees they had on January 1st was 19,000.
Wow.
Do that math. I started 20, wrote 25, ended up with 19.
Wow.
Because of the rats in the sewer in the streets of New York City in 1894.
Yeah. It's
awful. Now, bright side. People who are just selling clients, friends, referrals, buying some leads, doing direct face-to-face won't experience that kind of turnaround. They'll lose some people. There'll be sometimes an occasional person who drops off because of a reason like that, but they're going to experience 80% normal persistency if they take care of their clients and have an actual relationship. So if you're fearful or maybe you've experienced that, realize that's not normative business, but it's normative for some people. But the opportunity is so robust. I want to share with you how we feel we do it much differently. And if it's helpful for your agents, God bless you. You're welcome to join in. There's a better market, and it has 4 Ps. I can provide for you 4 important Ps that you're not going to experience the way most agents are doing the business. And by the way, there are other phenomenal FMOs out there who truly are wise, ethical, brilliant, gifted, talented people who run wonderful organizations. But they didn't spend 10 years driving 800 to 1,000 miles a week, talking to people face to face, learning field underwriting, submitting business, and getting some of it turned down and fighting through all that to learn the market and B2B concepts. So
Yeah.
because I'm special, I probably did it every possible wrong way and stubbed every toe and skinned every knee and bumped every forehead I could find on my body so that I could narrow down every possible way to do it wrong so that I could find one or two ways to do it right. Kind of like how Edison invented the light bulb. He did it wrong 1,000 times until he figured it out. But there's a market that will give you more profit. Now, when I say profit, I'm not referring to that you can't make money in the ACA. I have several agents who make more than $1 million a year just on their ACA premiums. We've had several agents write more than 1,000 cases last year. Several. One new agency who started with us a year and a half ago had 3 in their first year, 3 agents write 1,000 cases. Great. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about making profit from ACA. You should make profit from ACA, but you can't live on that initially. You write it November 1st. It's effective January 1st. They don't pay usually till February 15th to the FMO who has to process it. So you're looking at early March to get paid. Now, after that, every month it's going to come. So give a little grace to Pipeline and Messer and Peak and Agility, and because we really are going to pay you. So sometimes they send us 42,000 lines of data with no effective dates too, by the way. So they do that as well. The carriers can do that. But you're going to get paid. All these large houses that I mentioned who are competitors of mine, they're good people. They're going to pay you. It's bad business to take business and not pay. And that's why I have a contract. So if I don't pay, you can sue me. Because when you go to court because Clay didn't pay you, and the judge says, well, Clay, why didn't you pay him? You say, well, first of all, I don't like Christian Brindle, so that's why I didn't pay him. That's not going to go well. Or the second answer, but Your Honor, I needed a better boat. That doesn't work either. I don't know that from personal experience, but I think I've kind of figured that out. So you want to be paid, you're going to be paid. But the problem is, if you've never done this before, what I'm saying to you is news to many, many FMOs across the country who are phenomenal at life, phenomenal at Medicare, phenomenal annuities and worksite and P&C, but they've never done this space. So there's a way to create more profit. And by profit, I mean the second and third sale. Now, listen, you're not going to make a second and third sale to someone making $18,000 a year.
Right.
Want them to have life insurance, but they can't pay for it right now. And if I write them, I'll disappoint both of us because it'll lapse, which will disappoint them, and it'll charge back, which will disappoint me and the carrier who's terminating my contract because of all the chargebacks. So there is a market here that you can write the second and third product, the dental, the life, the critical illness, the accident, the gap plan. And we'll teach you how to have a third party pay for it many of the times. Third party, I'll get back to that. Secondly, the second piece, in this market, there can be better profit. There can also be better participation. Well, what does that mean? Most of you are fishing with a pole. Now, maybe you have a social media platform that can write multiple policies over the course of the day, but you're still writing them one by one, even if you're the no-talk agent. God bless your persistency. If you get more than 4 or 5 months persistency in that space, you're a genius.
Right.
But you should be experiencing 80 to 90% persistency. We can create an environment so that agents have a very, very, very high persistency. But I went the wrong one. Participation means multiple people. Fishing with the pole is individual. Fishing with the net is writing ACA by the dozen. I kind of jumped my P's there. So the participation is there's an environment to go write business where you don't just write Clay. You write Clay and Christian and that person, that person, that person, that person, that person at the same time. There's a place to do that. The third one is the persistency one. You should be experiencing 80s or 90% persistency. We can show you that. The fourth thing is prospects.
This video is brought to you by the 7 Figure Medicare Agent Summit. Guys, have you ever wanted to get around other professionals and the best of the best in the Medicare space if you're a Medicare agent? There's something to be said about networking and learning what other people are doing around the country, and they might just have some ideas that you may never have thought of before. It's also something to be said about learning from the best of the best. The most successful people in the insurance space collaborate, talk with others, and they have a mentality that we all are in this together and we share ideas and grow together. The 7 Figure Medicare Agent Summit is the premier event for Medicare agents. It is highly affordable. It has a great reputation of being some of the best content you're going to find at any event. There's so many events out there that are nothing but pitch fests, or half of the speakers are employees for the agency that host the event, and there's not really any real agency builders, or very few that actually take the stage and speak. At the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Summit, you get nothing but the best of the best talent from all over the industry. It's not based on hierarchy. It's not based on anything like that. We all are coming together as Medicare agents to grow and learn and get better. You can get information on who the speakers are for this year's event and ticket prices down in the link of this description. We would love to see you at the Seven Figure Medicare Agent Summit.
Because the lead generators, God bless them, and the call centers, God bless them, not all of them are crooks. There are a lot of great people who would try doing it right, who have the consents, who have the conversations, who actually look up doctors and drugs and all that stuff. There's some good people doing it the right way. They're limited. They're looking for a narrow slice of pie. They're looking for people right now, as we do this outside the OEP in 10 states, that you can write someone with 100 to 150 federal poverty level year round. That's what they're drilling, and that's fine. But that's not a very persistent place, and you can't make the second sale, et cetera, et cetera. You're not going to you're not going to fish with the net. You're going to fish with the pole. In this market, there are 30 to 50 million prospects. There's what? What do you mean? And that's what nearly every organization in America is going to say if you ask the question, how many prospects? I don't know, 2, 3 million people making low income? No. So let me wind up, and then we'll answer more stuff. This market is the small employer market. Employers with less than 50 employees. Before COVID hit, there are about 17 million employers with less than 50 employees. Now, COVID killed a few million of them. So let's say there's 15 million now. I don't know the exact number. Someone's going to Google it and send you a text. Let's say ballpark is 15. Well, 14 million of those 15 million employers with less than 50 employees don't have a group health plan. But all 15 million wish they did. The 1 million or so who do are often paying at the left nostril. It's awfully expensive. So we teach agents how to create a group benefit package using the ACA, or collapse a true group plan using ACA in those groups under 50. And we use tools like ICHRA and QSARA, and sometimes we don't use those tools. We don't have to sometimes. Some dynamics are so simple and easy, there's no reason to go into that space. Others need those tools, and we use those tools. But here's where you can have profit. The employer is so delighted that you'll help them that he'll pay $100, $200, $300 a month toward the cost. Now, you should learn more about this space before you go do it, because if you do it wrong, you'll incur the employer a $100 per employee per day penalty. So play before you try that at home. Talk to Clay before you go collapse a group that you shouldn't collapse, or maybe you shouldn't collapse them now. You should collapse them later. Why? Talk to Clay about that, my team about that. Because there's some groups that you should collapse, but you shouldn't do it now. And there are special circumstances. But in that space, the employer is so glad that you took care of his people, he'll pay for the dental. He'll pay for the life. Well, now you have 100% participation, 100% persistency, and the employer's paying for the cash plans, the plans that give you cash flow. It's more profit. It's more participation. Now you're not writing one, you're writing 10 people who work at the HVAC company. 10 of the 15 decide they need you. And now you're fishing with a net, and you're getting 2 or 3 sales, 4 sales per person. And it has persistency. Someone on social media is not going to steal that group from you.
Right.
It's not going to happen. I mean, mathematically, it can happen. And Wayne Gretzky could score on 6 goalkeepers on a certain day with a certain barometric pressure if the lights flickered for an instant. But it's not going to happen very often.
Yeah, right.
And then you're opening yourself up to that massive process, because there are 30 to 50 million people. Half of American workforce works for groups of less than 50 employees. So it's a massive group of people who are underserved by agents who don't yet understand the market, don't have the tools or training to know what to do, what's right, don't know where the landmines are. We want to teach agents how to walk through that field instead of blowing off their left foot actually write a lot of business that has lots of profit, lots of persistency, lots of participation, loyalty, so that you can build a rich, successful, beneficial business. That's our vision, to help agents. Now, certainly we want to help the Medicare agent who has the 62-year-old spouse, whose clients have kids and grandkids who need health insurance, who has friends and neighbors. They'll write 25, 30, 50, 70 a year. And that's awesome. And we want to help them, and you want to help them. But there are some who will go and dive all into the pool, and they'll realize, no, I can write 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 600 or 1,000 a year and create cash flow as well as earned income and change lives, change generational lives. So that's where peak performance is driving and has been driving for several years. Does that help give a good perspective of what it is?
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I feel like, the right guidance can make such a big difference, right? Especially in the ACA market, because there's so many people, you touched on it a second ago, that get kind of pulled into the no-call stuff, right? That you talked about. I remember specifically seeing a post a few months back from an agent that was pulling up a person's account in Health Sherpa, and they were posting the screenshots of all the apps that went in on this person. And there was like 40, Clay. Like, I've never seen anything like this. I was like, what is going on? It's definitely a wild time. I guess like that kind of game is so much more about volume over persistency. But like you said, if your persistency is so bad, does it really help to have that extra volume, right? It's just
a lot of lead costs for bad persistency. That's a lot of lead costs for bad persistency. Yeah. Potential risk of issues, challenges.
Yeah.
Because when you're changing people in March, April, May, June, July, you're changing plans potentially, and they may have already met their deductible. Or you might be moving them into a situation where they have a specific oncologist that now they can't see, but your system didn't care. So it's a problem. So yeah, there's a better, you could title this talk, There's a Better Way.
Yeah.
Much better way.
Yeah. Talk a little bit, if you will, about short-term medical. What is your feelings on short-term medical plans? Like, do you feel like they have a place? I know, and maybe I'm just ignorant to it, I guess, but I know that my perception of it was that I don't seem to see as many groups that really hammer that as hard as they did, right? Because it's, high premium, no limit to the percentage of the premium paying out, in the entire thing, big commissions. What is your feelings on short-term medical?
Give me 1 minute and I'll come to that answer. A couple things I can clarify for you real quick about the last topic. Yeah. To that end, we're hosting a 2-day boot camp series in Austin, Tampa, and Atlanta in May. And I haven't posted all the information on that yet, but at acaclay.com, by Monday, we'll have some videos, things up. But I mean, there's material there, and proposed dates will be there. But by the time this goes live, it'll be probably up there, and people can see it. But acaclay.com or peaktraining.com, PEEK. Just so if you want to find out more about the 2-day boot camp, that's there. But so if that's an interest to some of your folks, we're glad to talk to you about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Short-term medical is like what I used to write back in the 90s. It's often $1 million policy, has a pre-existing limitation, is underwritten, won't cover maternity, usually doesn't cover drugs unless they're drugs that occurred after the policy was effective and had no pre-existing issue. If you, out of the blue, 4 months into the policy, develop blood pressure, cover the blood pressure subject to deductible and co-insurance. And usually $1 million, sometimes you'll find a $2 million, even a $3 million plan, but most often $1 million, $2 million plan, which typically for 3, 6, 9, 12 months is going to be good unless you have a robust cancer that blows you up, or outpatient drugs. I always tell the story, I'm from Atlanta, and we probably have 1,200 agents in Georgia, 1,300 agents in Georgia, and I was doing a training there, a very large group of agents, and I was teaching about what I feel is the best cancer plan in America. And I made the presentation, and one of my agents loved it so much, she licensed to sell it, and she bought herself the plan. And God bless her, within a year, she had breast cancer. And she's still here today, praise the Lord. But she had breast cancer, and that plan paid her $100,000 of benefits over the year. Her outpatient chemo at Emory University was $84,000 every month. And the anti-nausea medicine that should go with it so you can survive it, is about $6,000 a month. That would have broken a $1 million short-term medical, and it probably wouldn't have covered the drugs potentially. But that said, a short-term medical is much better than a limited medical plan because it'll pay up to $1 million, typically if there's no pre-ex, with no limit on how much they'll pay for hospital surgery until the policy max. So it's a much better way to go than a limited medical. And I love Philadelphia American and Manhattan Life and NatGen, now Allstate and United Health One, and Pivot and other. They've got, some of them have limited benefit hospital indemnity plans, and those are great companies. But I would much rather have a short-term plan than those. I'd much rather have an ACA plan than a short-term plan. But there are some people who don't get a subsidy, and they think, holy cow, I'm really healthy, but I don't get a subsidy, and this is a lot less expensive. There's a risk there. What I would say generally about the space is, certainly if there's health issues, you're not going to be able to issue it. So just go with an ACA. Also, if they're really, really high income and you're writing it to save money, the limitations of the policy may make it where it's not really a wise and prudent thing to do. If they make so much money they're blind, buy an ACA plan, buy the cheapest bronze you can buy, because at least you know it is totally unlimited. If some catastrophic thing happened, they could never pierce and exhaust their policy. If you're selling short-term or limited medical because it pays more, that's the wrong reason. I like to make money too. Don't sell it because it pays more. Sell it because they don't get a subsidy. They're young and healthy, and that's what they need. And it's meant for short-term gaps between other coverages. So it has a place, perhaps a robust place. We're bringing out some non-ACA plans. We've sold shareables over the years, MediShare, Sedera, and there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. Those are really good ones because they're unlimited. They have a 3-year pre-ex. They'll be issued. They'll be allowed to join membership because it's not insurance, but they'll have a pre-ex. They won't be paid benefits. But once they do, there's no cap on medically necessary treatment. Other plans that are limited plans have $500,000 caps, or $250,000, or an annual cap, or a lifetime cap. Caps are bad. That's why those plans can pay you whopping commissions. Well, when there's a Sedera, which will issue anybody, will allow anybody to join, regardless of faith affiliation, in case you find someone who isn't a faith practitioner, or MediShare for those who are, and they're unlimited, I know they pay a lot less. That's why, because they're that much more robust. If someone's paying you 20%, the question is, what are they not covering? And it's a limited plan. So any kind of limitation is a danger zone. Here's the thing, as health insurance, we're there to help them on the worst day of their life. They don't need the double compounded problem of, I've now got a mortal battle here with a disease or an injury or an illness, but I'm also going to go bankrupt because my plan's going to forsake me in about 3 months because it's not deep enough, rich enough, or permanent enough. Because when you go back to recycle that short term, if it doesn't end December 1st, you may have a problem. Because there'll be an SEPU create, because loss of short term does not create a special election period to pick up an AC plan. So if you're going to write one in the right situation, make sure it ends December 31st, because you might leave someone hanging in April with no way to get coverage in the middle of a disaster. So,
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think about myself, because I myself was a conundrum writing myself on health insurance, right? I did MediShare for a little while, and then I went from MediShare to a short-term medical plan, and both of those scared the hell out of me. And now I have myself on an ACA plan, and I sleep better at night. You know what I mean? Even if we don't need to use it very often, I sleep better at night. So I think that's great advice. Clay, I want to be respectful of your time, but I wanted to ask one last question of you. You mentioned, all these events that you're going to be doing, right? And I know you mentioned a second ago, and if you want to send us a link on any of these, we'll be happy to throw them down in the description. So if anybody's watching this video and you want to learn more about these events, maybe you're in that area and you want to come out and kind of learn from Clay and his team. But where can people learn more about peak performance, right? Maybe they're watching this and they're looking for a mentor, somebody that's an expert, right, in this field. How can they learn more about peak performance?
A quick view is acaclay.com, which will give you a quick view of what we're doing, and you can click to a YouTube channel of shorts and some interviews that are 5 or 10 minutes. You can see some events that are coming this fall. I'll be in 30 cities starting late August through early October, probably from Scottsdale to Richmond and points in between, Southern and Midwestern. So you can come see me. Those are free open access classes. You don't have to be with Peak Performance to come. Anybody come. Christian, your agents can come. So anybody's welcome at those events. Now the 2-day boot camps, I have to be honest with you, I don't want to make black robe ninja assassins out of my competition. So there's a contracting requirement to go to the 2-day boot camp because no one else is teaching it right now. Now, maybe in a year or so, people will catch up and start teaching it, but no one else is teaching it. So that one does have a contracting requirement. ACA Clay is a place to go to see more about that. You can, if you want to do a deeper dive, because my peaktraining.com, P-E-E-K, training.com. There's a tab that says under 65 ACA tab. On that page is everything for someone who says, what is ACA and how do you spell it? To how do you write 1,000 cases a year? It's all on one page. And half the page anybody can watch, no matter who you're affiliated with. And it will go in step 1. There's a map that shows 6 steps. And the first 3 are open access pretty much. And the first class will teach you about the width of this market. There are 5 robust markets to pursue, and the low income is only one of the 5. That's one of the 5. It'll give you tools and all that good stuff. Step 2 is, okay, I think I'm in. How would I contract? How would I certify? How would I platform myself? Compliance, anybody can watch it. Christian's agents can watch it. Pipeline's agents, Messer's agents can watch it, and don't have to affiliate with Peak. Step 3 is ACA Blastoff, ACA for Rookies, ACA University, some other tools and training like that. And so that's a resource. Now, to see step 4, which is Health Insurance University, teaching you things that no one teaches anymore, like how to read policies, how to communicate with small businesses, how to overcome objections, all those things, how to explain what co-insurance is, because almost no one can. Things like that. It's a 7-class video series. That's step 4. Step 5 are the deeper dive in the smaller, in the 5 special markets, the nonprofit market, the family glitch market, the low income market. The Medicaid unwinding market is unwinding later this summer. That one's fading. And then step 6 is that creating and collapsing groups. And it has a small paywall for appointed agents. Alumni can watch it anytime. So, but Peak Training will get the most information. ACA Clay will get you some information, and we'll show you to contact us. We have 6 or 7 full-time marketers who are there to help agents. Agencies love working with us because my team becomes their back office. The marketers help communicate, help onboard agents, do webinars with you. We track the contract. The contract is all electronic and easily tracked, and you're safe in the hierarchy. Your agents can't circumvent you and go to me or somebody else. What's in the system? So agencies love to work with because there's protection, there's security, there's training, there's support. So ACA Clay's introduction, peaktraining.com, is a deeper dive into tools.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for your time today. This was fantastic. This was some great information. So if anybody makes it to the end of the video, first off, thank you for watching all the way to the end. But I encourage you to go back to the beginning and watch this a second time, because I'm fairly confident that a majority of you probably will pick something up the second time that you might have not heard, caught the first time. A lot of great high-level information shared by Clay. So Clay, thank you for doing this. This was a lot of fun.
My pleasure, Christian. Thank you. God bless you. I look forward to seeing you in Savannah this summer. And for those who watch it after Savannah, you missed it.
Yes.
But, hopefully we'll see some of you out on the road this fall in August, September, October as we head up to the OEP.
Guys, check out Peak Performance. Again, Clay, send me over some links when we're done, and we'll make sure that we throw them down in the description of the video. So go check out those links and learn more about the events, learn more about Peak Performance, their trainings, everything that they're doing right now to help agents grow their ACA business. If you made it this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much, Christian.